أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ربي اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إني كنت من الظالمين. There's no God but you. Glory be unto you. Indeed, I was among the wrongdoers. وصلى اللهم على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين والحمد لله رب العالمين. Ameen. Assalamu alaikum everyone. We are continuing on today with the second ray, second station on page 31. Again, the rays, page 31. We need to continue on with to conclude. So briefly, what we covered last week was how everything points to a single source of existence. So when I engage with the universe, I definitely see perfect wisdom, harmony, and several divine names that points to an absolute source. So we're affirming divine unity, and pretty much the last sentence was, I am the work and art of him alone. That's what everything in the universe declares. And we also mentioned a little bit about indexes and how everything is a small map. So in terms of my existence, I am an index of the universe. That is, as a created being, I have the ability to recognize all the qualities that are manifested around me, within me, and everything is happening all at once at the same time. So when I conclude that the universe is brought into existence by an absolute being, at the same time, I'm affirming that within my own existence, and also concluding about the existence of everything else at the same time. So that was pretty much it. So today we're going to go with to conclude, just checking in to see if there's anyone who wants to add anything to what was shared last time. I'll give in 5 seconds. All right, so let's move on with to conclude. To conclude, you want to highlight it, please? To conclude, with regard to its benefits, a fruit looks to its tree's owner. With regard to its benefits, a fruit looks to its tree's owner. So with regard to the fruit's benefit, and I can apply it to me as the human being, the human being being the fruit of the universe. A fruit looks to its tree's owner. With regard to its seed, it looks to all the parts, members, and nature of the tree. With regard to its seed, it looks to all the parts, members, and nature of the trees, as in one thing cannot be separated from the rest of the universe. So everything is intertwined. And so I cannot speak of a fruit independently from the rest of creation. And an obvious one would be the tree, the seed, and branches, but we need to expand it a little bit in a larger scale. And with regard to the stem on its face, and with regard to the stem on the face of the fruit, and with regard to the stem on its face, I think maybe it's referring to the seed, perhaps, yeah. And with regard to the stem on its face, it gazes on all the fruits of the trees, whose stem is the same.
No,
So
it's still the fruit.
It's still the fruit? Okay.
Yeah, so for example, the benefits of the fruit looks to the one who makes the tree, the owner of the tree. With regard to the fruit seed, the fruit seed,
Oh.
the fruit looks to all the parts, members, and nature of the tree.
Okay.
So the fruit has its benefits and it has a seed in it. So, and then he's going to make the analogy of with the human hearts that he spoke of in the second way.
Oh yeah, that's right. Good point.
So a fruit looks to its tree's owner. With regard to its seed, it looks to all the parts, members, and nature of the tree. So you can imagine a tree, and you can see the fruit, and the benefit that it gets is from the whole, whoever owns the tree. And with the seed, everything has to be in play for the seed. All the parts, members, and the tree has to be there. The parts and its branches, everything has to work together for the seed to be there in that fruit. And with regard to the stamp on its face, on the fruit's face, the fruit gazes on all the fruits of the tree. So there's a stamp on the fruit that shows that it is not there by itself, but it's the fruit of the whole tree. And it is made that it can see all the other fruits as well on the tree, whose stamp is the same. And together they declare we are all the same and we have one maker. We are all the same and we have one maker. We are the property of a single person. So whoever made one of us, one of the fruits, made all of the fruits. So in exactly the same way. So now this analogy of the fruit and the tree and the seeds is now used for the human. In exactly the same way, in regard to the stamps on the faces of the living creatures, at the extremities of the sphere of multiplicity, and especially the stamps on man's face. So now the man, as being the fruit, as you were saying, exactly. And his index-like heart. So man's heart is like that seed, and the results of his nature and his being a fruit. So everything in the human being, man has a face, just like the fruit has a face, and man's face also looks to everything else around it in the universe. And they look directly to the one who holds the whole universe in the grasp of his power and testify to his unity. So whatever, even the heart of man, the memory, as we discussed last time, they all engage with the universe and they see what is going on, they understand what is happening, and they record it. And the heart also understands it. And the heart concludes that, hey, this cannot be happening by itself, but they all are all coming from the one who must hold, or who holds the whole universe in his power. And so everything is within his power. So this is, I think, the conclusion, I take it as, of the section, that the way the author has been presenting the first and second way to affirm divine unity. So it uses the analogy of how the man is so important. It's like the fruit of the tree of the universe, and he has been given certain faculties to understand, including his heart and his intellect, as well as memory, where he can, they work like the small maps or index of the whole universe. They can deduce and come to understand all the qualities that they cannot be there by themselves, but they are directly coming, I thought was very important, directly from the one. So there's no intermediary or anything, but directly from the one who holds the whole universe in his hand.
Alhamdulillah, thank you. Good point. How everything directly looked to the one who holds the whole universe, as in just earlier, like the author was mentioning, that you cannot talk about a fruit or a tree independent from the rest of creation. So same thing, if one can grasp this concept of how everything is, like you said, directly looking to the one who holds the whole universe, then pretty much that's really working out, affirming divine unity within oneself. Okay. Alhamdulillah. Does anyone want to add anything to this conclusion? Or any questions or something. Okay. Do you have anything to add?
No,
No?
I'm fine. Yeah.
Okay. So then let's, it's interesting about, now this index part also starts a little making sense, index like heart, in terms of whatever qualities I'm able to experience or that are manifested in me, the same qualities are manifested all around me. So that's what the index side of things refer to.
Yeah, a sample within you. And then you can see just like we discussed in the morning, man is like a sample of the whole universe.
Yeah, right.
So man can understand exactly. So he has that. He's made that way. Man is made that way. So he has this tools and qualities which work like an index. So basically, index more like you can understand and examine. Hey, if you're looking for, let's say you see that a power is operating. There's something called power, and then you can see in the whole universe. You can index that and see, yeah, there is this power that is visible. If you see mercy around, in your index, like being, then you can see, do I see in the universe, and you can understand like so you can go in a more broader universal scale on how the mercy encompasses every other being in the universe. You can see the power is not just something within a particular area, but it encompasses the whole universe. Everything is under the grasp of that power. That's how I took it. So, okay. I mean, unless somebody else wants to add anything to it, I would love to hear other comments.
So if anyone here wants to make a comment or share their thoughts or ideas, feel free to share out. Raise your hand. If not, then let's move on to the second matter. The second matter, necessitating divine unity. Again, page 31 of the race. The second matter, necessitating divine unity. This is the fact that in unity are an ease and facility which render it necessary, while in associating partners with God are difficulties to the point of its being impossible. This is the fact that in unity are an ease and facility which render it necessary, which render what necessary? This is the fact that in unity and ease are facility which render
yeah, the unity.
So which render the divine unity necessary, right? Okay. While in associating partners with God are difficulties to the point of its being impossible. This truth has been explained and demonstrated with brilliant and decisive proofs in many of the treatises of what Imam Ali, may God be pleased with him, called the illuminating lamp, especially in the 20th letter in detail and in the fourth point of the 30th flash briefly. It has been demonstrated with most powerful proofs that if all things are attributed to one single being, the creation and regulation of the universe are as easy as the creation and regulation of a tree. So if all things are attributed to one single being, the creation and regulation of the universe are as easy as the creation or regulation of a tree. And the creation and making of a tree are as easy as the creation and making of a fruit. And the origination and management of the spring are as easy as the origination and management of a flower. And the administration and raising of a species containing numerous members are as free of trouble as the administration and raising of a single individual. So, I think the author is mentioning about how, well, if you're associating partners with God, then the journey becomes cumbersome, or like he's saying, impossible. And so I think because what we see definitely is perfect harmony, intricate delicacies, intricate setup around creation. And so what can I attribute that to? And so that must, well, the author is saying it must necessarily point to what I affirmed, or what I conclude to be absolute. And so this statement in the middle, if all things are attributed to one single being, the creation and regulation of the universe are as easy as the creation and regulation of a tree. And the creation of making of a tree are as easy as the creation and making of a fruit. And the origination and management of the spring are as easy as the origination and management of a flower. And the administration and raising of a species containing numerous members are as free of trouble as the administration and raising of a single individual. So I think it's all about me coming to my conclusions from my observations and examining of what I notice around me. If I can see that all things point to a single source of existence, then that's going to also help me see how everything else in creation, the regularities of things, also points to the same single source. And because we see variations of things in creation, and so by necessity of confirming divine unity, everything points to the single source. Alrighty, let's see if people have anything to share out here. Maybe you guys want to express it out in your own words so we can sort of try to comprehend the matter a little bit better. If anyone has any take on what they took away from this, that would be awesome to hear from them. Okay. What did you take? Oh, okay, somebody has their hand up. Go ahead, Suhail.
This reminds me, in, I guess, science or scientism, they, in a sense, they kind of think certain things are more complex than others, and or certain things are simple to make, and they look at it, they perceive it from the perspective of material reality. Whereas, all things are just made of particles, all the same particles. And so the governing principle is that all things are given existence are created in the same way. They're all one and the same. And if you take the former viewpoint, it almost leads in a sense to what is, I guess, common perception, that even if you, let's say, believe in God or some sort of divine being, that being doesn't concern you as much as they concern themselves with the planets or the stars, because that seems infinitely more complex to regulate than, let's say, man's creation. Or forget man for a second, maybe a fly. like what the Quran like references. It's all one and the same, which is the power of divine unity, or what it signifies, what it means. That all things are equal, no matter how big or small, before absolute.
Alhamdulillah, that was very helpful. Thank you. So I like the part about everything is pretty much is under a governing principle in terms of how it's coming into existence. So the creation of a small insect comes into existence with ease and perfect order than the creation of a human being or anything else. So yeah, these are interesting points to take into consideration. Anyone else wants to make a comment? You want to say something? I'm just going to ask you.
No, that's good. So I'm thinking about the necessitating divine unity part. And so ease and facility, it says it's necessary. And anything that is not, the difficulty, then, for example, as Suhail was putting in for the material scientists, and this is how, anybody who's building projects, for example, if you build a small house versus a whole building, it shows that there's more difficulty. It's measured in that way. But now this is more of how things are coming into ease. For example, you cannot assign the administration of the fruit to somebody else and the tree to someone else. Right? The universe, when you work on projects, you assign, hey, this one has this responsibility, another group has certain responsibility. But divine unity doesn't work that way. So divine unity necessitates everything that we see in the world in existence must come from the same source and must come with ease and facility, that if it doesn't come, then it's not it's no longer divine unity. If something is very difficult, or whoever is bringing things into existence, the universe shows the signs that, hey, everything, every quality that we are seeing, everything that is coming into existence, whoever makes the winter must be the one who makes the spring. It must be the same. One is not easier than the other, but it must be the same. That is what divine unity is, how I understand it. So ease and facility is tied to divine unity.
I like that part. Yeah.
And I think Nursi kind of brings that in many of his other works. Also in the words, he gives a lot of examples as well in the administration of governments. And he says, everything is much better when it's appointed to one being, everything works.
Governing body.
Right, one source. And then, because whoever knows, whoever has the knowledge, whoever has the power and the will, you better leave it to that being, because nothing, in terms of existence, nobody in the universe can give any quality to anything or any existence. But I like the tying of the ease and facility to the divine unity, how it becomes necessary.
It's interesting.
Maybe somebody wants to.
Yeah, I think it's I'm thinking more on this ease and facility part. How much of that do I notice in my experiences here? That do I see ease and facility, especially when it comes to, even practical matters? It's a little tedious, but I think we should keep these principles in mind, inshallah. Let's see if anybody wants to make any comments on what was shared. HPSA, go ahead, please.
Assalamu alaikum. Yeah, I was just thinking about, when I take this, or when I think about my own practical life in regards to what we've just read, if I'm managing 3 people versus 300,000 people, there's an obvious apparent change in difficulty between managing those two groups of people because of my own limitedness in my power, ability, knowledge, etc., which can be expanded to all of humanity, if you will. And even if right, okay, so let me stop there for a moment. And then secondly, on the other hand, again, in my practical life, even within this limited power, knowledge, ability, etc., I still find that there is still ease and unity in that, there's one president, one chief, one leader. There's one manager who may have a manager themselves, but everything kind of has like a hierarchy because it facilitates ease in the way of organizing, managing, facilitating things or administrating things. So as the author mentions, I was just thinking about what would it look like if there were, or if there was hardship in the way things come into existence. Because as I observe a single flower in the spring versus many flowers, there doesn't seem to be any change in hardship or ease in the way that they come into existence. And it's not like, one spring the flowers kind of take their time, and then next spring they get a little better and quicker at blossoming, and then the next spring they're like, they're getting warm. It's not like that. Every single time it just is facilitated with the same amount of ease, and even in cases, I guess this is, again, when I say hardship, I say it from the human perspective, where in cases where something may not go according to plan, or something within the order of the universe may cause hardship, the way in which that thing follows the order is also with perfect ease. If I hold a pencil and I drop it, or if I hold a Lego and I drop it and it falls to the ground, it follows the order perfectly. And if I step on it, it causes me pain perfectly again. So both in the administration of the universe, I see this ease, and I can also see it even within the limited restrictions of my own life, just like hints of it, although there's always those limitations. And even in things that are beyond my control that I experience, the way that they also come into existence is, again, with perfect ease. There is not a single thing, every single time I drop a Lego, it falls. It doesn't. There's not a single time where it has some hard time being created and following a particular order of the universe, of the order. That is all. Thanks.
Thank you for your comment. Does anyone else wants to make a comment or say something? Feel free to do so. If not, then let's move on to the next paragraph. Whereas, if on the way of associating partners with God, all things are ascribed to causes and nature. Whereas if on the way of associating partners with God. All things are ascribed to causes and nature. The creation of a single individual is as difficult as that of a species. Indeed, of many species. The creation of a single individual is as difficult as that of a species, indeed of many species. And the creation and decking out of a single living flower as difficult as the creation and decking out of the spring or many springs, and the creation, making, raising to life, administering, nurturing, directing, and regulation of a tree as difficult as those of the universe, or even more difficult. Any comments on this? Anyone?
So this is the flip side of if there's no ease, everything becomes very difficult. Ascribing to nature and causes the creation of a single individual is as difficult as that of a species. But that's okay. Yeah, Brother Ali has.
Okay, go ahead, Brother Ali.
Although the text is very clear, this text, the last paragraph we read, is not difficult to comprehend. But just I want to make one point: is
Ali Marmar, you're muted.
okay. The first paragraph. Thank you, by the way. The first paragraph is talking about the reality as we experience it. As we experience it, and logically coming to the conclusion. I think that logically coming to the conclusion that the source of this kind of creation must be absolute, infinite. That is logical conclusion. Human feelings also confirm this logical conclusion, saying that, yeah, that's what I can see and experience in this world. So if I attribute this universe to the absolute, to an absolute being, I will feel comfortable. Not only my mind, but feelings also will be comfortable, because my feelings will say, now I belong to this absolute being. So I can communicate with the absolute being. So then there will be a reciprocal relationship between the absolute being, the absolute being, and the expectations, the endless expectations of human beings. So they will say, yeah, that is what I am satisfied with. Now, the second paragraph says, okay, let's see the flip side of the matter. Just to convince, double convince the mind that let's assume that there is no such thing. How are we going to explain the world? Now, what we see now, because there is no absolute being, there is no way to attribute it to an absolute being. So let's talk about it. How are we going to explain the world? So in order to have an atom to exist, I cannot really have any source. It is impossible within the conditions of this universe to attribute its existence to anything that I can perceive within the universe. And also, how about the molecules? How about the masses of the body of a being, an animate being, or body of a stone, or a body of a mountain or body of the star, etc., how am I going to explain the existence of them? They exist at the same time. Now the materialist view has no answer to it. That is the only way out they could find so far, which is the repetition of a very ancient philosophical thinking. Very ancient, the known history to human mind from the very beginning, which is Hellenistic, Greek philosophy, that's so Hellenistic tradition. What they said, the universe must be eternal, as it is, with it is mass, with it is order, everything must be eternal. It is continuing within this order. Their existence keeps changing because order allows them to change. Order is set in this way. Do they have an explanation to this view that everything is eternal in their existence? The order of the universe is eternal in their existence? No. They don't present anything. They say they must be in this way. There is no other way to explain it because we are not open to admit that they are altogether given by a being which is not within the universe, which is not perceived within any corner of the universe, if you like. So there is nothing in the world that we can attribute the existence of the things to. So there is no other way because they blocked the possibility to the mind that there must be a being who gave existence which is not of the nature of the universe. They blocked that part. Of course, after blocking that part, this is the most reasonable claim that one can make. The universe must be eternal, like this always. We don't know how it happened to be in this way, etc. So let's assume that it is eternal and work on it and try to benefit from it, or really exploit the nature for human comfort. Since we are by accident happen to be a conscious being, so we are aware that we can benefit from the universe. We can study the order of the universe and really find out something. Okay, can they prove it? No. Can they demonstrate anything? No. Now, there are lots of theories that I don't know, but we hear, not all of them, of course, but there are lots of theories of how the universe is working. Not that how the universe has come into existence. There is no theory about it. But even this Big Bang, etc., they don't really explain how the universe came into existence. They say, and how do you say, energy field, something, particle, atom, whatever, exploded and expanded. But where did you get this origin? No explanation, no suggestion. So philosophy essentially keeps repeating itself by the same claim. The most consistent claim in philosophical tradition to explain the universe without attributing it to a divine absolute being is this: universe is eternal. The others are not claiming anything. We have to be very careful. They are just saying how the universe is working, how the universe is expanding. None of them tries to explain how the universe came into existence out of or without anything, without even an energy load that they say must be so that it is still exploiting, expanding, didn't come to an end. Universe is expanding continuously out of this one single atom. Doesn't matter whether one single atom or big atom, doesn't matter, small or what. But what is the source of existence of this atom or particle? What is the source of this existence of the qualities of this atom, that it is full of energy? It means, what is the source of existence of energy? What is the source of existence of this energy, so that it started expanding? So, source of existence of expanding. It's an action. This is the reality in the universe. It is expanding. What is the source of existence of these qualities? There is no theory, because, as the text says, it is so difficult to ascribe it to causes and nature. So this is not only coming into existence, as the text says, creation, making, raising into life, administering, nurturing, directing, regulations of everything. These are all qualities. What are that we observe these qualities in the universe? And beauty, especially beauty, is not mentioned here, but the philosophers are in trouble with beauty. So what is the source of existence of beauty? What is the source of existence of symmetry? What is the source of existence of contradictory qualities but complementing at the same time? That is one of the most striking things. The things have contradicting, opposing qualities, but complementing each other. The mind-blowing things are going on here. No explanation. They say, oh, that is how the universe is, that's how the nature is. That these are just, I don't know, what a childish excuses for their failure. That's what I wanted to share my feelings with you. No, Alhamdulillah, we are not that this kind of people. We don't condition ourselves. We must be free in our thinking. Whatever is more reasonable, whatever is more acceptable for our human senses, everything that we have to say, yes, this is the reality. Why should I deny it? Then contradict myself. Okay, thank you very much.
Alhamdulillah, thank you for sharing your comment. I think we need to hammer in more on starting with all the qualities that we notice around the universe, and rather than getting occupied in how the order functions, but like really, how is anything coming into existence? So anything that we may be utilizing as well while following the order, like how is that coming into existence? So yeah, definitely, inshallah, good reminders to ponder over and keep in mind. Anyone else wants to make any comments or something? Okay. If not, then let's move on with the next paragraph, inshallah. Since the reality of the matter has been thus proved in the illuminating lamp, and since as we see plainly before us, together with the very highest degree of art, and the greatest value there is a superabundance of beings. Together with the very highest degree of art and the greatest value, there is a superabundance of beings. And together with being wondrous machines with numerous miraculous components and members, all living creatures come into existence in absolute profusion, infinitely easily with extraordinary speed, just like striking a match. it demonstrates necessarily and self-evidently that the profusion and ease arise from unity and from their being the works of a single being. Since the reality of the matter has been thus proved in the illuminating lamp, and since as we see plainly before us, together with the very highest degree of art and the greatest value, there is a superabundance of beings, and together with being wondrous machines with numerous miraculous components and members, all living creatures come into existence in absolute profusion, infinitely, easily, with extraordinary speed, just like striking a match. It demonstrates necessarily and self-evidently that the profusion and ease arise from unity and from their being the works of a single being. So it demonstrates necessarily, so anything that we are seeing, things coming into existence all at once, starting from my own existence and expanding it out to everything around us within our vicinity and the universe itself. Yes. So all of this, because we see, definitely it's amazing. It's we get mesmerized by it, but like, how do we explain its existence? So that demonstrates necessarily and self-evidently that the profusion and ease arise from unity and from there being the works of a single being. Okay. Otherwise, it would not be cheapness, abundance, speed, ease, and value. I know, right? Otherwise, it would not be cheapness, abundance, speed, ease, and value. As in maybe, okay, let's see what it's. Read it again. Okay. Otherwise, it would not be cheapness, abundance, speed, ease, and value. A fruit that is now obtained for $5 would not have been obtained for $500. What is the lira? Oh my God.
It's a currency.
Currency, okay. A fruit that is now obtained for $5 would not have been obtainable for $500. Or would have
5 cents.
5 cents. Okay.
She lives in New York, so it's $5.
I think the lira would be cents and the other thing would be dollar. Okay. All right. So a fruit that is now obtained for $5 would not have been obtainable for 500 cents, or would have been so rare as to have been unobtainable. And the creation of living beings which resemble regular machines that work like setting a clock or turning on an electric switch. Oh man, and the creation of living beings which resemble regular machines that work like setting a clock or turning on an electric switch would have been so difficult as to have been impossible. And some animals would come into existence together with all their bodily systems and vital conditions in a day or an hour or a minute would not have come into existence in a year or a century or perhaps ever at all. I think it's an interesting point. Like, again, focusing more on the existence of things, how it's coming into existence with
ease.
perfect ease and
facility
order.
and ease.
Yeah. And otherwise it's what? We won't be able to explain existence itself. Or it's gonna be difficult otherwise even to be like I can't even fathom it right now. So all right. Anyone wants to make any remarks on this?
So he gives the analogy of the fruit.
Mm-hmm.
For 5 cents versus, like you said, $55 or $50. So it's just the analogy that shows that the one who is showing all these signs of the universe and profusion, everything is coming into existence. It's with such ease that there's no material that is needed. Like, for example, I need to do something. The cheapness in terms of there is nothing that is needed. And they're just coming in with their extraordinary speed.
In abundance.
In abundance.
And so valuable.
Yeah.
Wow.
So going to the the verse kun fayakun, like you just be and it is, and everything comes into existence. And I see Brother Ali has his hand up.
Go ahead, Ali Murmur.
No, you are doing it perfectly, but I raised and didn't want to take it back. It is speaking from human perspective. Let's assume that although fruit is created, sugar is created, sweet things are created. Let's make a jump. It takes so long time for us out of already created things, out of already created fire, and out of already created mind, just to make a jam out of a red stuff, we spend hours. So from the human perspective, he says, think about it. Everything, the trillions of stars, trillions of trees, etc., air molecules, etc., endless, they are there cheap. It means their production must be so easy, so that but they are there full of in abundance, and very cheap. What else he said? Speed. Then they all together come into existence. If you want to even let's say the fruit needs some sort of wrapping so that it wouldn't lose its vitamin in it, and it would also keep its freshness. How much machines combined in a factory needs to make it rapid? It's so difficult. So human mind says, but in the creation, it's not costing anything. No hardship at all. Abundantly there, everything is abundantly, and innumerable numbers of fruits are coming into existence immediately at the same time, no waiting for each other in the assembly line. In factory, they were in the assembly line. You do one thing and then another one. The universe comes into one at once, all together, not only in space. As far as human perception is concerned, in time as well. What we see, if you, I don't know, I don't want to get into this time dimension. It is so amazing. So in time as well, from passing, as far as human beings are concerned, human perception is concerned, from one moment into another, the universe is not taking any time. The existence and the change and developments and improvement, making better and better and changing continuously, doesn't really show any difficulty at all. The simplest structure of a being, there is no simple structure of a being anyways, but seemingly to human mind, human eye, this is simple than more complicated creatures. I don't know, for example, let's say mountain seems to be so clumsy, but the galaxies are so perfectly arranged. Like that, the human perception, all human perception. From human perception, we can compare that. Our perspective tells that it is impossible to make anything like it is happening in the universe. For my mind, if I find a way to imitate it, it is impossible. I cannot make everything at once. None of the factory produces any produces cars. Whatever the number they want, at once, finish, put, in a moment. This is impossible. But the things are not happening in this world. This shows that definitely this must be a work of something, the single being, unity, the words. Of course, the single being, unity are, to me, still single being is a, what do we mean by single being? Like there are not twins or something. What do you mean by single? Not married or? I am not saying these are wrong translations. There is no way for human being to explain it in terms of our experiences, because we use the words as a result of our experiences, how the language develops. We start doing something differently, and we use a new word for it. That's why all the language of human beings are the result of our experiences in this world. But we cannot experience the source of this kind of a creation. So we cannot have any word for it. We have to use somehow a phrase like single being, like unity, absolute unity, etc. But we know that it means indescribable within human language. But we understand the concept. It must be something beyond the capacity of my language. That is why we say infinite, absolute, this kind of words. Why? These are the words that human beings use for anything which is impossible to comprehend the uh, essence of that thing. For example, no one can comprehend the essence of infinity. We cannot use any number, anything, but infinity is not a number, but at the same time demonstrates that endlessness of the numbers. Endlessness. Only endlessness of the numbers. It is just, how do you say, comparatively uh, coined a word. For example, these are finite, but the source of the finite existence of the source of the existence of the finite things must be the same word again. In, if you like, it is not pronounced in this way, infinite. It's non-finite. Again, we use the known word for it. So we have to be aware that the absolute cannot be describable with human language. That is why we cannot see any example of the work is presented to us in the world that we can do the same thing as well. Human beings or any other thing in the universe can do the same thing. Nothing can perform the same kind of act of creation in the universe with the same quality, swiftness, abundance, easiness, and costs nothing coming into existence. As far as we see, whoever brings the things into existence, he is not using any material. It is not costing anything to this source of existence, whoever it is, whatever it is. So it is impossible to describe. That's what we have to say, undescribable. So that is what Islamic terminology is. Incomprehensibility of God is comprehending God. Do you see this one? This is very famous. This is the amazing statement I learned, narrated from Abu Bakr. I don't know how these desert dwellers, originally pagan people, reached that level of understanding, incomprehensibility of God is the only way to comprehend it. It means if I say the essence of God is incomprehensible, that is what really the best description of God is. Isn't that amazing? None of the philosophers presented such a statement, which is really resonating with human mind, human feelings. It's the best description. Incomprehensibility of God is the only way of comprehending Him. It's amazing. Thank you very much.
Mashallah, amazing indeed, yes. The incomprehensibility of God is really comprehending it. There's no way otherwise to describe or use anything here. It cannot be described within the nature of this universe. So, yep, thank you for sharing that. And it's also interesting how everything is given freely as well. Existence and things around us. It's we're not being charged for it, like we're being charged for every other thing. So many bills to pay, but when it comes to existence and one's relationship with their source of existence, it's really.
So what you're saying, it's not like I'm going to charge you for using your hands. I'm not going to charge you for giving you life.
Imagine that.
Right now, every moment.
Yeah. Wow. Imagine if there's a transaction. That's it. I'll be in jail. I can't pay that. Subhanallah, that's right. Yeah. All right. Does anyone else has anything to share here? Okay. All right. So that's let's move on to the next paragraph. It's I think this is interesting paragraph as well. I mean, just the one we read. I was looking into the latter part of it.
Before starting reading the paragraph, can I tell you it's a very simple matter, but someone may bother about it or wonder what is that. The illuminating lamp. Did you?
Oh yeah.
That's. Well, now I will say it very simple. Another language another title that the author uses for Risale-i Nur. That's so simple. So don't bother. I mean, don't wonder illuminating that. Siraj Nur, original language. It means Risale-i Nur is the title of another Risale-i Nur, illuminating light. Good.
Oh, thank you. Oh, interesting. Okay, I thought that was something else, or maybe another book from his volume. Okay, pretty much it. All right. Any other comment?
Risale-i Nur. We can read Risale-i Nur. That is known to us. Doesn't matter really.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. If anybody else wants to make a comment, feel free to do so. If not, then let's move on to the next paragraph. Although I was just looking at the latter part of it, but I think, so let's move on to the next paragraph. It is proved in 100 places in the Risale-i Nur so decisively as to silence the most obdurate denier that if all things are ascribed to the single one of unity, if all things are ascribed to the single one of unity, they are as easy, swift, and cheap as a single thing. If all things are ascribed to the single one of unity, they are as easy, swift, and cheap as a single thing. Whereas if causes and nature are given a share as well, the creation of a single thing becomes as difficult, slow, unimportant, and expensive as all things. I think this goes back to the previous 2 paragraphs we read. If you want to see the proofs of this truth, you may refer to the 20th and 23rd letters, the 22nd and 32nd words, the 23rd flash, which is about nature, and the 30th flash, which is about the greatest name, particularly its 4th and 6th points, which are about the names of single and self-subsistent, respectively. There you will see that it has been proved with the certainty of 2 + 2 equaling 4. Here, only one of those hundreds of proofs will be alluded to. Here, only one of those hundreds of proofs will be alluded to as follows. The creation of things is either from non-existence. The creation of things is either from non-existence or from the elements and other beings in the form of composition. If attributed to a single being, that being is bound to have all-encompassing knowledge and power that prevails over all things. If the creation of things is attributed to a single being, that being is bound to have all-encompassing knowledge and power that prevails over all things. In this way, the giving of external existence to things whose forms are present in his knowledge or who exist as knowledge, the giving of external existence to things whose forms are present in his knowledge or who exist as knowledge. I'm not sure what he means by or who exist as knowledge. And bringing them out of apparent non-existence is as easy and simple as striking a match or spreading a special liquid over invisible writing in order to reveal it, or transposing an image from photographic film to paper. Through the command of be and it is, the maker brings into external existence from apparent non-existence things whose plans, programs, and shapes and proportions are present in his knowledge. All right, let me share a little bit. The Quran verse is from chapter 36, verse 82. Kun fayakun, be and it is. So, okay. So I think what he's saying here is how we see existence, things coming into existence. So really, from non-existence means that I don't know, I cannot explain existence in terms of I just observe an order and I follow the order if I want results. But as far as existence, this, what I observe, like things, creation, it's either I see things being transformed or I'm using some elements, but like how do I explain the existence of things? So I think so that's what the author is referring to. So the creation of things is either from non-existence or from the elements and other beings in the form of composition. So either I observe an order, I observe things are being shaped, like all of us, we're subject to change as far as our bodies are concerned. We're decaying every moment. And so if all of this is attributed to a single being, then that being must have all-encompassing knowledge and power that prevails over all things. So everything is coming into existence right here and now at once, and everywhere around in the whole universe. So I think expanding our vision to just not what I see, but to what I know in terms of some huge planet, and even the universe itself, this creation out there, galaxies, underwater, under soil, so many things live around that we don't see or notice. And so in this way, the giving of external existence to things, I don't know why he's meant saying external, because I observed something existing externally. So like, oh, a tree, this is external to my existence, like in a physical form, I would say. Because we're not talking about quality. So I think perhaps he's meaning like the physical existence of things, external, as in separating it out from
as
me,
being created.
as being created,
Yeah.
external existence. So like, but there's an internal existence as well, so like.
No, not in that sense.
Okay, not in that sense. So just
Yes, so
physical.
everything that you see in the universe is given a form,
Mm-hmm.
qualities, shape, size, weight,
Mm-hmm.
and animate beings. I mean, feeling, everything is given, and their whole life journey, everything that is coming into existence comes with an absolute knowledge
Okay.
that encompasses everything. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. So
maybe Brother Lee has some.
So go ahead, Brother Ali. And I know there's a comment on the chat. Sohail says material reality. Okay. So thank you.
Somehow, as Suhail said, sorry, we can compare anything by using our capacity. We cannot imagine anything which is not our, no, sorry. We cannot imagine anything that we make up without using our own human capacity. These are all within our human capacities as compared, even as we talked earlier on, discussed earlier on, infinite is nothing but deriving from finite that we observe. We are accustomed to it, finite. So we say not finite. What is that? It is something not finite. So that is how human capacity works. So let's take an example in order to explain this very difficult part to translate. I appreciate the translator. She tried her best, but unfortunately, it doesn't really convey the message clearly because it is difficult to convey the message clearly. So from the original text, I checked now, what we do now, when we do something, first, we have a knowledge of it. And then we make it in a material form of it, application of this knowledge into a material form. Now, is it clear, or shall I say something else? For example, now I know that I have to turn this screw on the right side. That is in my knowledge. So I get my screwdriver and put it into the screw, and then apply my knowledge into a material form. Turn the screwdriver according to my knowledge. I cannot do anything. Let me see the blueprint into a building. That's a simple example. I appreciate Suhail's comment. Yeah, like the blueprint in the example. It exists there. So this funny translation, who exists as knowledge. Who means exist, we understand that plural. Plural means those things in the knowledge, they have knowledge type of existence in the mind. That is human comparison, don't forget. Knowledge existence in the existence of a thing in the knowledge form. In Arabic, the wujudun ilmiyun, wujud ilmi. So knowledge-wise existence turns into external existence. It means that knowledge-wise existence, for example, you know how to make, I don't know, soup. But you know that I have to do this and then this and then this, mix up, put on the fire and then wait for 20 minutes and then stir it, then it is cooked. This is knowledge-wise. What you do now, get the material, get the ingredients there, and do what you know. Put it into material form, and the soup is out there. So this transformation from knowledge into a physical being comes out, bringing them out of apparent non-existence into a physical, observable existence, is taking place in the universe immediately. Kun fayakun, be and it is. Like you have the blueprint in your mind of a building, very complicated building, and when you will, let's materialize it, physically, let me give a physical existence to it, but everything completely comes into existence at once. As compared to human imagination, human capacity, what we see in the world, the things are coming into existence with no difficulty. Knowledge becomes physical existence. That's what I understood from be and it is here in this paragraph. Everything, the plans, programs, shapes, proportions, etc. The last sentence, plans, programs, shapes, proportions are present in his knowledge at the same time. And they come into existence with all these qualities at once, at the same time. It's not taking any time. First this, then this, then this. No, no. Everything comes into existence with all its qualities at the same time. No waiting in the assembly line. That is what I understood from this paragraph. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Ali, for sharing out your comments on this. You know, this verse itself, now I'm thinking about it, it's very powerful because it's helping me also to understand, just like taking that analogy of a blueprint and a building coming into existence, just like everything happening all at once, even the knowledge and the coming into existence of the building, it's all at once. And like from what I observe from, you know, within the universe, if there's something like a blueprint of something, then there's like this process I observe in terms of making the building. But I guess we're talking about absolute knowledge here. And so going back to that verse, I think it really defines what absolute is as well. if I connect it with how the knowledge, absolute knowledge, or the knowledge of something and the physical act coming into existence is all happening at once. So there goes one's comprehending of the absolute as well. So that was interesting. Thank you for sharing that. Okay. Any other comments from any HPs? Go ahead.
Yeah. it's more of a side comment based on what's been said. You know, I was earlier in the first paragraph that we just read, well, not the second to last paragraph we read up to this point, where it said, you know, if all things are ascribed to the single one of unity, they are easy, swift, cheap, and as a single thing. But if not, they are difficult, slow, unimportant, and expensive. So I was just thinking about these adjectives, and in particular, unimportant. What would make it unimportant, or what quality, or why in this case it would be unimportant? And based on the last comments, I was thinking about how, since you know the existence of the universe and literally everything within it necessarily point to an absolute source of existence, and this being must be one with absolute knowledge, then such things must exist in his knowledge even before being given external existence. And as we discussed, external existence being material, or existence that I experience here as I know it, which means that the existence of everything is, in a way, eternal, because it's always existed in one form or another, whether in his knowledge or in a physical form, or perhaps another sort of form, whatever that may be. But because it comes from an absolute source, it's eternal in a way. And now coming back to the sentence that I had highlighted, if not for this, then it would be unimportant, because then again, the stamp of transience is upon it, and it just looks to non-existence and goes into an abyss. But whereas with attributing everything to a single being, then it becomes important, and in a way I would say expensive, not in the sense that we pay for it, but expensive as in value, in the sense of it being valuable or invaluable, or priceless, because by virtue of having a source of existence that is absolute, it just immediately, or I don't even know if immediately is the correct word, but by virtue of coming into existence by a source of existence who is absolute, then by virtue of that I am eternal as well, and thus or that which exists is eternal and thus valuable by virtue of having been brought into existence by such a being, if that kind of makes sense. So that was just like a side thought.
So if I conclude my source of existence to be eternal, and then I can look at existence as pointing to this eternal one, as in I can connect my existence to an absolute eternal source. Okay. And I know we are at time now. You want to do the next paragraph? No, I think we should not rush. Yeah, so Sohail, you have your hand up. Go ahead.
Yeah, just to Khadija Beza's point, the idea that all things exist within his knowledge and therefore must be eternal. And that one can say that about all things that exist in this universe and don't exist. But the fact that they exist means they exist out of his preference, absolute preference. And to say that, then if, going back to Ali Mimr's earlier point about, trying to explain any one thing in the universe, really you can use any point in the universe to come to the conclusion of divine unity. Whether a mountain, as you mentioned, or an insect, something that's quote unquote simple, or a galaxy, because they were all at the same time preferred to exist by the same will. So out of his knowledge, and as he says, it's like it's striking a match, and in a sense, you could say the match is being struck everywhere in the universe. There isn't a single point. It's interesting they say about also. I remember brought up Big Bang. They say, oh, where did the Big Bang happen? Well, the question's incorrect. It happened everywhere. In other words, things are being brought into existence everywhere. You can't say, oh, it's being brought into existence here, so it was preferred to exist here, but not there. Everywhere is being preferred to exist because everything is within his knowledge and subject to his absolute will.
Thank you. Yeah, I really appreciate this author's writing in terms of how he shared things out, because if we think about it, there's no way I can describe how existence is happening. So just we setting comprehensibility of God is really the comprehensibility of it. And so just to explain existence, like the best match, but there's no such thing as, there's no language or anything in the universe that I can use, but the best match is the example of lighting a match, and how, fire comes into existence right here and then. But that's just like the closest analogy or something we can take from this universe to comprehend this absolute, or how existence is happening. All right, any other comments from anyone? Okay, then inshallah, we will pick up from if it is in the form of composition and art. So the second paragraph on page 33, inshallah, next week. Thank you all for your comments. Alhamdulillah, was a beneficial discussion. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma 'allamtana innaka antal alimul hakim. Glory be unto you. We have no knowledge save except that which you've taught us. Indeed, you are all knowledgeable, all wise. Wa akhiru da'wahum alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Bi hurmati sirra surat al-Fatiha. Ameen. Okay, assalamu alaikum everyone. See you all tomorrow, inshallah.
Alaikum assalam.